Okay, guys, we're just doing a quick look at the micro adjust slash thickness compensator here today. Before we start off here, you always want to make sure it's all the way down. At most, just just a touch open. And the only reason you do that, I do that sometimes, is when I'll show you when I get to it. But try and make sure it's down, all the way down. Because if you're trying to put stuff in here and it wiggles around, it's very easy to bump this and lose your thickness compensation. And then you have to start all over again with your angle cube. Now, if you don't have an angle cube, it's not a big deal. You don't really need it to thickness compensate anyway. I'm just using it so you can see that it actually works. I filmed this once already, but I just didn't like how it worked out. But we'll just try it again here and see how it goes. Everything worked okay. It's just I just didn't like angles and stuff I had when I was reviewing the footage. So hopefully this works out a little bit better. Because I kept having to move the camera around and get different angles as I was going along. It was just weird. So what I got here is these guys. It's just some strops I made on my 3D printer. This was meant to be a double-sided one, so it would equal the thickness of a Veneve stone. This was meant for lapping film, but I just had these kicking around, so I threw the leather on. Anyway, yeah. So I have 3 different sizes here. This one's in the middle here. This one's a little bit thicker leather, so it's taller than this one, and this one's really short. So you can see all the differences in if one's thicker or one's thinner, what you have to do to set it up. Now, I'll grab the stone in the middle here. We'll put this back in. Now, for what we're doing here, I don't want this to move around and mess up our angle. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to limit the travel here. So this can't even move. It just makes things a little bit easier. Okay, so now what we want to do here is we're going to set the angle just going to check. Okay, yeah, dancing on 0.5 there. 0.05, sorry. And what we're going to do here is we're going to go up, and now to use the thickness compensator, this is all I do really. I want this to be at 20 degrees, so now we lock this down. And like I was, not sure if I've been said this yet. Yeah, I did. You just want to make sure it's down all the way. After you've compensated and got your micro adjust in, make sure it's down all the way. And I always like leaving it up here in case this thumb screw comes loose. You won't lose your angle. The only thing that's going to happen is it might go up. Especially if you're really trying to profile really hard. It is possible for this to wiggle up a little bit, so keep an eye on that, but it usually doesn't happen, but I've had it happen once or twice when my system was newer and this thumb screw wasn't seating right. So you just gotta crank down on that pretty good. Anyway, right now we're at see, perfect example of thumb screws coming loose when you try and do something. Okay. Now I'll reset this to 20. There we go. And we're at 20.5 again anyway. But dancing again. So it's probably actually 20 because it was dancing 0.5 over here. Anyway, so just make sure we're tight there. Now, we know this is set for 20 here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that off. We're going to set our thickness compensator to this stone because this is the one we were using. Now what you want to do here is you want to crack this loose. Like I said, make sure it's tight. You bring it in, you bump it up, just so it's touching. It doesn't have to be pushing hard on it because you don't want to have to wiggle your stone to get it out too hard because you know you can chip your stone or you mess this up. Now, the parking brake here, be careful because this part is a little thicker over here. There's a little nub. At least I think it's thicker than this. I haven't really... Yeah, it definitely is. At least on mine anyway. So you want to stay off of that. You want to make sure you're on only this part of the block here. We'll call it the slide guide block, I guess. Guide rod block. But yeah, you want to make sure you're only touching the black part of a guide rod block here. So you don't have any issues. I usually put it in sideways like this so there's more of a surface area touching. So now that I got my thickness set for this stone, and let's say the following stone is going to be thinner, you just take your thinner stone or strop, whatever you got, and just let it drop down on top of that. And now it's set for this stone. That was pretty easy to get out. There we go, that's a bit better. Now we'll just drop this stone in. Set it roughly where it's supposed to be. We've got our angle cube here. And there we go. Now the angle cube can be about 0.5 off, and you also got to keep in mind I was dancing 0.05 off on right here. So that's pretty much the exact same angle I was at before. So now let's say we want to move up to the thicker stone, which should be this one. So what you want to do here is, once again, you just crack this loose because it was already set to our other stone. Here, let's shove this back in so you guys can see here. Okay, now we had this in here like this. We were using it, now we take it out. We don't have to worry about resetting it for this stone because we don't want to move this because it was zeroed off of our original stone, this stone. We'll set it over here. Now, what that does is we already pinched this one down, so we know that it's the thickness of this stone. So now this is still zeroed basically for our original thickness compensation. So we can just crack it loose and put our next stone in that we want to use. And there we go. Now we just put this one in. And I'll turn my angle cube on so you guys can see here. And there you go. It's the exact same as it was last time. So it's just that easy. And now let's say we want to go back to our original stone here. We just don't want to drop my angle cube here. Drop it down, touch it. Say we got another stone that's this thickness. My veneers are all the same size right now, so. Of course you're gonna this to me. Hang on here. Let's have a look. Oh, you know what it was? Yeah, that shouldn't matter. Let's have a look here. Let's double check this. I'm on the bet, yeah. There we go. Oh. Make sure I actually pinch it right. Yeah. Whoa. There we go. Oh yeah. Yeah, that was my fault. Didn't put the angle cube back in the same place. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, yeah, as you can see there, it's actually okay now. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's fine. But yeah, it's pretty simple process. Other than that little mix-up I had there, that might have been my angle cube too. Sometimes they're not the greatest things to rely on. But anyway, yeah. So now we got it set up for this one again, and you just simply take your next one, lift it up or drop it down, drop in your next one. Then it's just like that. It's pretty simple. It's a bit confusing at first, trying to figure it out, but after you figure it out, it's a pretty easy concept. Now you don't have to lock up yours like I did here. I just did that so the angle wouldn't change when I was trying to use the angle cube here, because depending on how far out this thing is, it can mess with things. Now, yeah, so that's how to use the angle cube, or not the angle cube, the micro adjust here. Oh, I might have hit that. But yeah, like I said, always make sure this is down. And that's nice and snug. Any of these thumb studs, you really gotta crack them down nice and tight, especially if your system's new. The ends of the screw haven't really worn into grabbing on things yet, and they can move around. So that's pretty much the basics of using the fine tuning knob / thickness compensator. So you just want to zero it in, pinch your first stone, and then after that you just crack this loose and either drop it down or lift it up to compensate for the stone, and you just never move this. That's all you have to do. If you like the video, just like, share, subscribe. It all helps. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Another quick tip, if you haven't seen it yet, is if you notice my Hapstone here is really sturdy, it doesn't move at all. Just put some shims on the bottom there, and it'll make it nice and sturdy. Because there's a little bit of gap back here. You'll notice if you push on yours here, it'll rock a little bit. But yeah, it's a great system, and that's how you use the thickness compensator. It's a great tool. I find it honestly makes this system incredibly nice. If this wasn't available on here, I still probably would have got this because I really like this setup being modular, but this was honestly what made me really like it. And the bump stops and everything. I recently got the what's it called? Convex attachment. I'm gonna see how that goes. Might work well, might not, but it was pretty cheap for what it is. Yeah, it's great setup. I hope you enjoy it. I know I do. I came off of Wicked Edge W130, and I wouldn't go back. At least not until they make some major changes to Wicked Edge. But you never know, it's possible to see too. So yeah, like I said, have a good one. Hopefully I'll see you in the next one.